Alright, welcome back. Buckle in, we're going for a long ride. A lot of things I'm going to bring out, and so we're going for a long bus ride. Alright, people, let's start off. We're at the website that I took time to put together, and we're on the main page, and I want to read this to begin this bus ride. This is the Confessions of a Harvard-trained witch hunter, an analysis of Judge Samuel Sewall's confession on his role in the Salem witch trials. Alright? So, to Sewall, every moral and legal issue was either white or black, right or wrong. Sewall approached his religious book, the Bible, with far more reverence than a corporate attorney approaches statutes on corporate law. A corporate attorney approaches statutes to interpret them in the light most favorable to his or her client. Sewall approached his religious statute book with one hermeneutic objective, to find the one correct interpretation. In this spirit, Sewall lays down the law from Acts 17, verse 26 to 29, and has made one of blood all nations of men for to dwell in all the face of the earth, and have determined the time before appointed and the bounds of their habitation, that they should seek the Lord. Sewall compares the care that the colonists would exercise in buying and selling a horse with the care that some colonists bought slaves. 'Tis a pity. There should be more caution used in buying a horse than there is in purchasing men and women, whereas they are the offspring of God and their liberty is from God. Sewall forcefully warns the colonists that his religious book of legal statutes is everlasting equity. Accordingly, Sewall sardonically warns the colonists, "Caveat emptor," capital punishment underscores the atrocity of kidnapping and slavery. These Ethiopians, as black as they are, seeing they are the sons and daughters of the first Adam, the brethren and the sisters of the last Adam, and the offspring of God, they ought to be treated with a respect agreeable. Such advocacy significantly repelled the tide in Massachusetts away from the institution of slavery. Alright, so I just wanted to point that out so we have some form of foundation of what I'm about to go digging into. Alright, so we're going to move into some scripture, and I'm going to read a few things from the Brenton Septuagint. Alright, so just bear with me. We're going to jump right in. We're on this part right here. We're going to read this side. So hopefully everybody by now has read this, but if you haven't, I'm going to run through it real quick. Deuteronomy chapter 28, it deals with the curses of disobedience. Deuteronomy chapter 28, it deals with the curses of disobedience. Alright, we're going to start at verse 15. Alright, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken to the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe all his commandments, as many as I charge thee this day, then all these curses shall come on thee and overtake thee. 16. Cursed thou shalt be in the city, and cursed thou be in the field. 17. Cursed shall be thy barns and thy stores. 18. Cursed shall be the offspring of thy body, and the fruits of thy land, the herds of thine oxen, and the flocks of thy sheep. 19. Cursed shall thou be in thy coming in, and cursed shall thou be in thy going out. 20. The Lord send upon thee want and famine and consumption of all things on which thou shalt put thy hand, until he shall have utterly destroyed thee, and until he shall have consumed thee quickly because of thine evil devices, because thou hast forsaken me. Verse 21, the Lord caused the pestilence to cleave to thee, until he shall have consumed thee off the land into which thou goest to inherit. 22, the Lord smite thee with distress and fever and cold and inflammation and blighting and paleness, and they shall pursue thee until they have destroyed thee. 23, and thou shalt have over thine head a sky of brass, and the earth under thee shall be iron. 24, the Lord God make the rain of thy land dust, and dust shall come down from the heaven until it shall destroy thee, and until it shall quickly consume thee. Now, real quick, what's generally happening through here, of course, is talking about particular curses. Alright, and you got to understand, Israel came into a land and they said they were going to worship the Most High like they've never done before, and that was a lie. They did not do that, obviously, according to this scripture. Okay, so in the scripture it says, in that land where they were at, the land of milk and honey, right, a lot of things started happening. People come in to conquer. Their land was turned into a dry, barren desert. Cough, cough. And they would be put in cages and sold off into slavery. Skies of brass underneath iron. Different diseases. We know about the plagues that these people came to this country and brought. The plagues that began killing off numerous amounts of quote-unquote Israelites. So Deuteronomy chapter 28, start at 15, work your way down. So I bring this out to help you people understand the curses that deal directly with history and history books. It's not make-believe. If you're looking for time frames of all this, you need only search just to the history of the Americas, and you can also look into the history of quote-unquote, what's this, England? Right, when you look over there and look into the history of the Vikings, which we've already done a video on that, you'll start finding out more about this great destruction. Alright, so we're going to skip through that. You can pull it up yourself and view that 28, 15 through 68. So we're going to jump from there to Jeremiah 15 and 1, and it's the Lord will not relent. Alright, so, and the Lord said to me, though Moses and Samuel stood before my face, my soul could not be toward them. Dismiss this people and let them go forth. Verse 2, and it shall be, if they say to thee, whither shall we go forth? Then thou shalt say to them, thus saith the Lord, as many as are for death to death, and as many as are for famine to famine, and as many as are for the sword to the sword, and as many as are for captivity to captivity. Verse 3, and I will punish them with 4 kinds of death, saith the Lord, the sword to slay, and the dogs to tear, and the wild beasts of the earth, and the birds of the skies to devour and destroy. Alright, so you can also go right back into the history books, and you can find the stories and the images. We already know about the great wars and battles. A lot of you might not understand the whole thing having to do with dogs, literally, but dogs were to chase you down and rip you apart limb to limb. And you can go into the history books on that. I think we've already done some videos on that. If not, just Google it, right? You can just Google dogs, slaves, killing or slaying slaves. Just type all that in. You'll pull it all up. Alright, so verse 4, and I will deliver them up for distress to all the kingdoms of the earth. This is where you're scattered to all the nations across the world, right? So this is why the whole Assyrian slavery thing, being sold from Assyria or quote-unquote Africa to the 4 corners of the world, is just not going to fly. So that story is a waste of time. Alright, so we're going to go right past that, and we're going to go to verse 4. Alright, okay, verse 4. And I will deliver them up for distress to all the kingdoms of the earth because of Manasseh, son of Ezekiel, king of Judah, for all that he did in Jerusalem. Right, so right there it's clearly telling us that some things were done by people. So, okay, their punishment comes this way. So verse 5, who will spare thee, O Jerusalem, and who will fear for thee, or who will turn back to ask for thy welfare? Verse 6, thou hast turned away from me, saith the Lord, thou wilt go back. Therefore I will stretch out my hand and will destroy thee, and will no more spare thee. Verse 7, and I will completely scatter them. See, it goes right back to the scattering you to the 4 corners of the world. In the gates of my people they are bereaved of children. They have destroyed my people because of their iniquities. Verse 8, their widows have been multiplied more than the sand of the sea. That's because the men were cut down and slain. I have brought young men against the mother, even distress at noonday. Alright, so young men raping the women, obviously. I have suddenly cast upon her trembling and anxiety. Right? She was raped by all these men that came in. We know this is the history of Cortez, and we often find this as the history of quote-unquote North America during slavery times. Alright, verse 9. She that bore 7 is spent. Her soul has fainted under trouble. Her sun is gone down. While it is yet noon, she is ashamed and disgraced. I will give the remnant of them to the sword before their enemies. Alright, so all that, we have that recounted for in history. This is Cortez, Columbus, and this is North American slavery times. Alright, so there's no need to search for that. We already know what that said. Quick Google search. Alright, now we're going to go into Jeremiah's complaint. 15 verse 10. Woe is me, my brother, thou hast borne me as some man of strife, and at variance with the whole earth. I have not helped others, nor has anyone helped me. My strength has failed among them that curse me. 11. Be it so, Lord, in their prosperity. Surely I stood before thee in the time of their calamities, and in the time of their affliction, for their good against the enemy. 12. Will iron be known, whereas thy strength is brazen covering, right? 13. Yea, I will give thy treasures for a spoil as a recompense because of all thy sins and that in all thy borders. So everything that, I was giving you people is going to be a spoil to a whole nother nation, right? And this is the whole story of those who are thieves that come in, get their fill, and leave. But you particular people don't leave. You come and get your fill and you move in, all right? So it's telling you right there. Verse 14, and I will enslave thee to thine enemies round about. All right, so now all your enemies are in this land. You were heading off thinking everything was love. Now they come in and conquer your ass. They do all this heinous things, and you become their enemies, and this is the thief that now lives in your land. Alright, and I will enslave thee to thy enemies round about, in a land which thou hast not known, for a fire has been kindled out of my wrath that shall burn upon you. Now, the land that you would not have known, I'm assuming, is technically North America, and this is where your slavery really begins, because you're found in South America, aka the Carib, and then the Carib Islands, and then what is called Central America, where you find the Aztec capital. So that right there in itself points out that that's where you were found. You were taken to another land. Alright, so 15. O Lord, remember me and visit me and vindicate me before them that persecute me. Do not bear long with them. Know how I have met with reproach for thy sake, for those who set as not thy words. 16. Consume them, and thy words shall be to me for the joy and gladness of my heart, for thy name has been called upon me, O Lord Almighty. Verse 17. I have not sat in the assembly of them as they mocked, but I feared because of thy power I sat alone, for I was filled with bitterness. Verse 18. Why do they that grieve me prevail against me? My wound is severe. Whence shall I be healed? It is indeed become to me as deceitful water that has no faithfulness. Verse 19. Therefore thus saith the Lord, if thou wilt return, then I will restore thee, and thou shalt stand before my face. And if thou wilt bring forth from the precious from the worthless, thou shalt be as my mouth, and thou shalt return to thee, but thou shalt not return to them. Okay, so right there it's clearly telling you that there has to be a separation, and the separation is in yourselves. There's your own people, right? There are precious jewels among you, and then there's the worthless. That's the whole thing about the 1/3 and the 2/3. 15 and 20, and I will make thee to this people as a strong brazen wall, and they shall fight against thee, but they shall by no means prevail against thee. For I am with thee to save thee and to deliver thee out of the hand of wicked men, and I will ransom thee out of the hand of pestilent men. So, just for clarity, everybody understand Jeremiah 15 and 21. This is what the Most High is saying. For I am, let me highlight this. I want you all to go look this up yourselves. For I am with thee to save thee and to deliver thee out of the hand of wicked men. So I'm set to deliver you. I'm going to save you, is what he's saying, out of the hand of wicked men. And I will ransom thee. Now his ransom isn't with money. His ransom is with blood and killing and slaughter. We've already read all this. We know exactly what this is talking about. Meet me in the valley of Jehoshaphat, and you'll beat your plowshares into the ground, your weapons, because they are to no avail. I'll lift my voice and not raise a finger, and you shall tremble and cower at me, and you'll be senseless, and your mind will be gone. So he ain't coming here to tell you that you can be saved through Jesus Christ. That's bullshit. That's a crock of shit. What's actually going to go down, as you can see clearly here, Jeremiah 15 and 21, that I am coming to save you and deliver you. This is your punishment you're in, but hey, I'm coming, right? Not Jesus. This is the Most High talking. I am coming, right? And I'm going to ransom thee out of the hand of the pestilent men, right? Well, the men that rule over you, your oppressor. All right, so this is the last bit of scripture we're going to read, and we're going to go on to some more content. Famine, sword, and death, Jeremiah 16, starting at verse 1. And thou shalt not take a wife, saith the Lord God of Israel. Verse 2, and there shall be no son born to thee, nor daughter in his place. Verse 3, for thus saith the Lord concerning the sons and concerning the daughters that are born in this place, and concerning their mothers that have borne them, and concerning their fathers that have begotten them in this land. 14, they shall die of grievous death. They shall not be lamented nor buried. They shall be for an example on the face of the earth, and they shall be for the wild beasts of the land and for the birds of the sky. They shall fall by the sword and shall be consumed with famine. All right, we can look into the historical records and see about these great wars that happened when Columbus and Cortez were doing their thing. Columbus slaughtered a lot of motherfuckers, and Cortez slaughtered even more. All right. Thus saith the Lord, enter not into their mourning feast, and go not to lament, and mourn not for them, for I have removed my peace from this people. They shall not bewail them, nor make cuttings for them, and they shall not save themselves for them. Verse 7, and there shall be no bread broken in mourning for them, for consolation over the dead. They shall not give one one to drink a cup for consolation over his father or his mother. Now, this is to help you understand when you look at how quote-unquote Negro peoples get killed and gunned down even this very day. You niggas is the only ones that mourn, and you niggas don't even mourn for real, for real. You mourn for a day or two, and then you get over the shit for real, for real. But if you think about this, you look at all the other nations, they don't fucking cry tears for you. They don't fucking do GoFundMes for you and your family when you motherfuckers get slaughtered off. Ain't none of that shit changed as it was when they came in, as it is this day, right? And this is because they've been hardened for a purpose, and something comes their way. That's not your concern, that's their concern. They got to deal with that. But for the most part, this is telling you who you are. If you're confused of who you are, you need only look at the history and today. Ain't nobody mourning over your death. Alright, verse 8. Thou shalt not enter into the banquet house to sit with them to eat and to drink. For thus saith the Lord God of Israel, because I will make to cease out of this place before your eyes in your days the voice of joy and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride. Right, so all your happy and joy is gone. You're about to go down the shitter. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt report this people all these words, and they shall say to thee, wherefore has the Lord pronounced against us all these evils? What is our unrighteousness, and what is our sin which we have sinned before the Lord our God? Verse 11. Then thou shalt say to them, because your fathers forsook me, saith the Lord, and went after strange gods, and served them, and worshipped them, and forsook me, and kept not my law. Alright, so that's that's just what it is. Trying to find proof of that. I guess we can only look at this worship of deity. I don't know. That's the only thing I think we can look at as far as that goes. And in other nations, they have deities, right? So when you look at the forefathers going back before this whole Israel and the New World thing happens, there's other shit going down which the forefathers were doing. This could be the concept of Ra, this could be the concept of Allah, this could be all these different concepts. There's these gods fashioned of wood and stone, right? This could actually be that, because once you let loose this belief system of all these deities, right, it's in ancient history embedded forever. So what do you see countries still worshiping this very day? All these other deities, right? So could mean that, not sure. I don't have anything definitive on that. I still research that. Alright, so I gotta leave that as what it is. Verse 12. And ye sin worse than your fathers, for behold, ye walk everyone after the lust of your own evil heart, so as not to hearken to me. Now that I can say we have evidence of even this very day. Even this very day, we don't give up two clicks about our family, our brethren, our sisters and brothers. All of us will kill each other for the next thing. We love stupid shit like rims and jewelry. Our women like getting their nails done and getting their hair done, and just stupid shit which has no value. Nobody cares for the actual plane of existence we live on. Nobody cares for the actual firmament. Nobody cares for the truth in life. Everybody loves the death and the lies. And a real quick breakdown. When you look at a car is not a living object. It's a dead thing. It's made of dead material, and it has an engine and electronics to make it something that you can use, and you love it. Your phone is not a living object. It's a dead object. It's a machine of dead material that allows you to connect to an internet, which everybody says the internet's living. The internet is still technology. It moves on frequencies. It moves down lines. It works off service. It's still based on dead material. So you worship everything that is dead. You speak a dead language. You don't know the root of these words. You know what I'm saying? So you're living dead. You're not about life. You're not about living. You know what I'm saying? So, and you're following your own evilness. Alright? So, alright. Verse 13. Therefore I will cast you off from this good land into a land which neither ye nor your fathers have known, and ye shall serve their gods, who shall have no mercy upon you. Right? Now we serve Jesus. Right? We serve the Catholics organization, the Virgin Mary. We serve Yahweh, Yahshua, Jehovah. You know what I'm saying? We serve all this crazy shit. Right? And these people are relentless against us. Right? Does it make sense? Does it make even this very day? Alright, the Lord will restore Israel. Jeremiah 16 verse 14. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when they shall they shall no more say, the Lord lives, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Alright, 15. But the Lord lives, who brought up the house of Israel from the land of the north. Right? Now, that four corner shit, right? Right? We're going to deal with that in a second. But that four corner shit, right? You were brought into the land of the north, that dry, barren, desolate land, right? That became your new home, right? Right? So you're in the land of the north, and from all countries. Now you're in the land of the north, but you're scattered to all other countries, right? So let's take this, Jeremiah 16 and 15. But the Lord lives, who brought up the house of Israel from the land of the north, right? So he's going to let's go back, because he said this is what he's going to do. Right here, Jeremiah 15 and 21. Oops. 15 and 21. For I am with thee to save thee. He's here with us now. And to deliver thee out of the hand of the wicked man. He's going to deliver us out of their hand. And I will ransom thee out of the hand of the pestilent men. I'm going to ransom them with slaughter. He's going to slaughter them. Right? That's right here in 15 verse 21. Now when we come on down to 16. Right? 16 and 15, I believe. But the Lord lives, who brought up the house of Israel from the land of the north, right? Brought you from the land of the north. I brought you up out of there, right? The new story is, I saved my children out of the land of the north and from the countries that they've been scattered to, right? You've been scattered abroad. Whither they were thrust out, and whither they were thrust out from all countries. Now, the countries, they were thrust out. Now, it's funny, this thing about being thrust out. Now, there's a word for this, right? Now, if you use an I and an M, you get leaving of your own accord, I believe. Yes, of your own accord. And if you use an E and an M, then we're talking about being thrust out. All right? Being thrust out of these countries. And our mistake, you figure that out. I'm not going to tell you everything. Just take a minute to figure that out. I and M, on accord. E and M, get the hell out of here, right? The fuck out. And I will restore them to their own land, which I gave to their fathers, right? So, one of these things is happening right now. EM, right? EM, get the hell out of here. That's happening right now, right? And then, the whole thing about the land of the north, we're going to be brought out. We're all trying to figure out, how do we get out of here? Well, it says in 15, right? You got 16 and 15. I'm going to bring you out. And then you go to 15 and 21, right? 15 and 21. I am with thee to save thee and to deliver thee out of the hand of the wicked men. And I will ransom thee out of the hand. Ransom, right? Now we look at ransom and we say, all right, ransom, you give me this money and I'll let you have, right? Well, it ain't about money, is it, right? Money means nothing to these people that have all these things they're happy about, right? But we know ransom is involved in money, right? I've stolen your child, and if you ever want to see your child again, you give me $1 million, meet me at this location, and you can have your child back. So we say ransom, yeah, you ransom me out, some money, right? I don't think the Most High is going to pay anybody for his children. This is the Creator, right? No. His ransom is slaughter. So what you're going to see around you is slaughter. You're going to see the slaughter. Now, you haven't seen a lot of it yet. You're seeing in different countries a great slaughter of people. They don't show you on the regular news how much people are being slaughtered. But from all the shaking and the trembling of the earth, the floods and everything else, the landslides, the fires, the quote-unquote wars, these people's numbers are dwindling fast. Just because it hasn't hit you yet in the North Country, it's coming. It's coming. It's right here written in this book, right? Not my book. I didn't write it. Y'all book. Y'all read it, right? Y'all gave us this book. It's in your book. This is what's coming, right? It ain't hit the North yet, but it's coming. That's the beautiful thing about all this, right? So, again, Jeremiah 16 and 15. There it is right there. The Lord lives, who brought up the house of Israel from the land of the north. You're going to be brought up out of here. So let's continue. Verse 16, behold, I will send many fishers, saith the Lord, and they shall fish them. And afterward I will send many hunters, and they shall hunt them upon every mountain, and upon every hill, and out of the holes of the rocks. Right? So, a fisherman, right, what a fisherman does is he gets his rod and he gets his bait. And what he likes to do is find something that tickles the fish's fancy and dangles it in front of the fish. Then the fish bites it and got the hook and you reel it in. You got one? That's fishing. That's what fishing's all about. So somebody come fish out these fucked up people, right? Is being pulled out. I will lift up their skirts and show the world their nakedness, right? So I can't boldly directly tell you people, you know, you have to understand what's happening right this very day in front of your eyes. I can't boldly tell you this, but I can tell you, think about a fisherman. He'll dangle bait in front of the fish on the hook, and then the fish bites the hook, and then you caught the fish, right? So you just think about that and think about today, right? I'm going to get these wicked people, right? Saith the Lord, and they shall fish them, right? And afterward I will send many hunters. Now, a hunter does what? Right? A hunter goes a looking. I'm going to hunt my prey, right? And they shall hunt them upon every mountain. So that means they've now ran and fled, right? And upon every mountain and hill and the holes of the rock. So that means that there's a people. Now I'm ransoming you, right? I'm ransoming with war. I'm not ransoming with money. Bloodshed is how I'm going to do this, right? So I done fished you out. I done got you to show your face. Now I'm hunting you, right? And I'll hunt you everywhere you run and hide to. You can't escape. Now this is your book. I didn't write this. So this is what comes for you. I didn't write this. I'm reading this shit. It's what it is. This is what comes for you. For what? Ransoming. This is the ransoming of his children. No, not money. No, not money. Need if there is money. Right? No, this is a ransom that you don't want, but it can't be turned back. It's just what it is. You wrote this shit and you gave us the book and we're reading it, right? So you got to understand what's happening there. Verse 17, for my eyes are upon all their ways, and their iniquities have not been hidden from mine eyes. I've seen it all. 18, I will recompense their mischiefs doubly, and their sins, whereby they have profaned my land with the carcasses of their abominations, and with their iniquities, whereby they have trespassed against mine inheritance. Whoa now. 19, O Lord, thou art my strength and my help, and my refuge in days of evil. To thee the Gentiles shall come from the end of the earth, and shall say, how vain were the idols which our fathers procured to themselves, and there is no help in them. Right? Now they're going to look back at what their fathers did. Ain't that something? And say, dang, man. And I can't be no clearer. It just showed you Gentile. It just showed you Gentile. So their offspring or their descendants, their progeny is going to look back at that shit, right? Will a man make gods for himself, whereas these are no gods? Therefore, behold, I will at this time manifest my hand to them, and will make known to them my power, and they shall know that my name is the Lord. So their progeny is going to look back on the sick shit that they did. They're going to be hunted, fished out, dug out, right? And laid to rest. But their progeny will look back on this. To thee the Gentiles shall come from the end of the earth, and shall say, how vain were the idols which our fathers procured to themselves, and there is no help in them. That's the Gentile, right? Talking about their fathers, and they shall come from the ends of the earth and look at this sick shit and say, wow, our fathers had the game fucked up, right? So that's just how I see everything. Now we're going to get on to the next bit of content, alright? So now we've laid a foundation. We understand what Samuel Sewall was talking about. We understand how this ties back into the indigenous people of the Americas, right? So from that we're going to move on to... I'm going to read this just so we have a recap. Alright, because this is going to involve a lot more things we're going to talk about in this particular video. I'm sorry it's going to be a long video, but it is what it is. Buckle in. Take the bus ride. So, this is the Dum-Dum verses. And I'm going to put the links at the bottom in the description, so you guys can click on it and see yourselves. Alright, so, we, weighing all in singular the premises with due meditation, and nothing that since we had formerly by other letters of ours granted among other things free and ample faculty to the aforesaid King Alfonso to invade, search out, capture, vanquish, and subdue all Saracens and pagans whatsoever and other enemies of Christ wheresoever placed in the kingdoms of dukedoms, principalities, dominions, possessions, and all movable and immovable goods whatsoever held and possessed by them, and to reduce their persons to perpetual slavery, and to apply and appropriate to himself and his successors the kingdoms, dukedoms, countries, principalities, dominions, possessions, and goods, and to convert them to his and their use and profit. Now listen, I tell you about appropriation all the time, and I tell you this because you got to understand, this is them putting you on like a garment, taking your place, living their lives as if they are you. This is the dumb diverses. Now, if you people on the other side of the fence are thinking I'm fucking crazy, this is your fucking dumb diverses, which got all this shit fired off onto this side of the world. You're not from here, right? Brother Lex showed you in the video where the white lady says, "Oh, we might as well just go back to Europe. We might as well." You see what I'm saying? That's where you're from. Yes and no, technically. You know, we go back to the story of the Vikings. You came out of the lowlands where the water was rising, and you came out and joined up with other war bands and began to conquer the people over there. All right, and that's a whole nother story. We ain't dealing with that today. We're going to deal with this right here in the Americas. So, you appropriate everything here. You keep mimicking and doing and calling yourself the people of this land, and you keep telling these people they from a land not even from here. Now, their forefathers technically are from a land that is not here. But this whole thing about Africa, Assyria, clearly Assyria, the Chamite, and we now know who you are. Brother Lex has brought all that out. So we're dealing with Assyria and the Chamites. We understand that you're trying to switch a birthright. Now, this sounds very, very common to a particular story I've read out of the Old Testament about Jacob and Esau. A metaphorical story, it could very well be. But it's the funny story that this Esau says that this Jacob stole his birthright, right? This is what this is. But when you think about it, it's switching places, right? And through war and destruction, this Esau shall rule the world, right? So think about this. You have taken the birthright of somebody who was given it, and you switch the story around so cleverly. It's funny now when you think about it, because the story of Jacob and Esau, you know, Jacob took the birthright of his brother, and his brother was promised all these things because he's the elder, right? That was this wonderful promise in that story. But when you think about the historical events, there's a people that come out of a land that were servants, and we can find these accounts all throughout history. Don't play yourselves. It's in history books. You know that you were servants, right? And through war, you joined up in war bands, quote unquote, starting with the Viking story. You joined up in war bands, you began to come out and conquer. Now you have subdued your brother, you have put on everything about him, you've appropriated, you have taken everything that is his, you've taken his kingdom, his land, his possessions, all these things, his God from him and everything, right? You've taken all this and claimed it to be yours. So you've stolen the birthright, and you've done it through war. Because that's all you've ever done. You know, let's just be honest about this. You didn't friendly come over and say, "Hey, can we trade?" No, you said, "Kill them motherfuckers." Hundreds of millions, right? So there's your story there. But that's a little bit more of the foundation. You can read that yourself and go more into it. We're going to deal with a few words as we go on. There's a particular word, demon, and I want to look at this word again. We're going to look at it again. So this word, demon, right, is two words, daemon, right? Now, D, we can see I've got it highlighted here, down to the bottom, totally, hence, completely, right? Then we go to the next part, which is man, right? When you go to man, you see my, right? So, you say down to the bottom, totally, hence, completely, mine, demon, you damn demons, right? Or you say, you're talking about you niggas is demons, right? You're to the bottom. The head shall become the tail shall become the head. So the demon is your black ass. You've been cast down to the bottom. And who are you? You are those that belong to the Creator, His children, mine. Down to the bottom goes mine. Now we just went through the scripture so we can prove how true this word is. Right? You divide and conquer mine, right? Day, mine, right? So you send them down to the bottom. You sent the Lord's children down to the bottom, right? He told you what was going to happen if you didn't do what he wanted you to do and you went against everything that he told you to be, right? So we look at this, a father and a son. So Pops is like, look, man, I don't want you hanging out with them boys over there next door, man. They're very trifling. They do bad shit, you know what I'm saying? Don't hang with them. They bad kids. You're like, man, yeah, I hear you. And you sneak out the house and you can hang out with your friends next door. Your friends next door, they do vile shit, right? So they go out one night and they commit some heinous activities or crimes, and then you're with them and you didn't do the crime, but you with them. And then all of them escape and your dumb ass gets caught. Right? So then you call Pops up and you in jail and hey, they said they're gonna lock me up and can you come get me? And Pops like, what do you mean, what happened? Well, I went to the neighbor's house. You went where? And I was hanging out with them and I told you not to, and I was hanging out with them and then they did these crazy things and then they got away and I'm here and I'm in jail. Can you come help me? So what does Dad say? Now, here comes your punishment. Down to the bottom goes my own child, because he just would not hear me. So I've got to let him suffer. It's his punishment. Now you got to sit in jail and you got to do the time. I don't care if you did it or not. It doesn't even matter. You're going to suffer. Down goes to the bottom you. Alright? So just think of it that way. It's very simple. Right? So there's demon. The Most High's children go to the bottom. Alright? Demon. Now, possession, right? They tell you about demon possession. They show you all these cool TV shows. They say, oh yeah, look at the demons coming into these people. You know, all this crazy shit, right? I tell you, that's not what that shit is. It's really not. Now, to possess is to hold and occupy. Now, the scripture we just read, I just read it for you. You can look at it again yourselves, shows you that your land will be taken and held, right? Now, the dumb diverses, I laid some more foundation for you, right? The dumb diverses is to show how they're going to appropriate, right? The Most High says even a thief will get his full and leave, but they didn't, right? So, we're looking at possess, demon possession. They've come into your home, put you at the bottom of their system, their caste system, right? Now they hold and occupy. Now this is very important, possession. We're going to get through some more information and content, so these words kind of hold them in your head. It all goes together for the big portion of all this information. To hold and occupy, so the demon, down goes my children. Divide the land of mine and my inheritance to my children, and then hold it and occupy it. So they were given permission to do that, right? Let's continue. Now we're going to jump into articles. Alright, the Indian Lands, Indian Subsidies, and the Bureau of Indian Affairs. This is by Chris Edwards, February 1st, 2012. Alright, so the federal government runs a large array of programs for the roughly 1 million American Indians who live on reservations. Many of the programs are housed within the Department of the Interior Bureau of Indian Affairs, BIA, and the Bureau of Indian Education, BIE. These two agencies have about 9,000 employees and spend $2.9 billion annually. Since the 1970s, the federal government has promoted Indian self-determination, but tribes still receive federal subsidies and are burdened by layers of federal regulations. In addition, the government continues to oversee 55 million acres of land held in trust for Indian tribes. Held in trust for Indian tribes, right? Now, let's do some simple equations, some simple math. All right. Now, you mean to tell me that the federal government is holding Indian land, 55 million acres of Indian land, in a trust for Indians and tribes, right? Yet the Indians live on this land and they don't own it. The federal government has to own it and hold it in a trust. Hold it in a trust. The word is held right there. It's hold, right? Hold in a trust. Now let's go back. Possess. Demon possession. Demon possession, right? Down goes my children. The head becomes the tail becomes the head. Down goes my children. And then possess. To hold and occupy. Let's go back, people. The dumb diverses, right? Let me get it right to where we need it. Let me get it right to where we need it. Alright. Right here. To invade, search out, capture, vanquish, and subdue all Saracens and pagans whatsoever, and other enemies of Christ whatsoever, placed in the kingdom, dukedoms, principalities, dominions, possessions, and all movable and immovable goods whatsoever held and possessed by them, and to reduce their persons to perpetual slavery, and to apply and appropriate to himself and his successors the kingdoms, dukedoms, counties, principalities, dominions, possessions, and goods, and to convert them to his and their use and profit. Okay. To appropriate, again, people, is to make as though it is theirs. They are holding your inheritance. To hold and occupy your inheritance. You're the demon and you're the possession. You're the demonic possession. You're the demonic possession. Again, Negro, you are the demonic possession. Yes, you are a prisoner of war. Let's not forget that. But it all is the same shit. You're the demonic possession. No. The demons are the ones that come and jump into... No, people, stop. That's not... I know they put out a lot of movies. I know that's what they're doing. They're an outward people. They're just fucking tricking you. They're tricking you, people. Alright? You are the head made into the tail. You are conquered and occupied and oppressed. You are a holding, like a stock holding. They're holding you, okay? Held in a trust for Indians and tribes. Now, these quote-unquote Indians, they call themselves Indians, right, are not Indians, obviously. You know, playing with these fucked up words is ridiculous. They're not the indigenous people. They're not, in biblical terms, the Israelites. They're not, it's so many goddamn terms. Let's go to the root. They're not the descendants of Adam. They're not the children of God. That fuck every other term. Let's just leave it at that. That makes perfect sense. They're not the descendants of Adam. Alright? So, because of the dumb diverses, they held 55 million acres of land. Now, I know this just sounds crazy, but I'm going to point something out to you people. I'm going to point something out to you people. This video, this brother did.
So, you mind if I YouTube this?
Just don't use my name.
No, I won't use your name. So give me a fake name. Okay. So this is, give me an appellation. Joshua? Yeah. Okay. So this is Joshua he's a Navajo Indian, correct?
Yes.
All right. So all this is Jamestown, New Mexico. All this is your territory?
Yes.
Okay. And how long have you guys been in this territory? And again, this is for educational purposes, you know, to let people know that you're here, you exist, you know.
For many years.
For many years.
Yes.
Like what time frame?
Can't really.
Because you know the...
He can't tell you. He can't tell you. Okay? There's more information I'm going to go through, but this, so far from what I've just shown you people, put this shit together. He can't tell you because he don't fucking know. This isn't his fucking land. Now let's continue with this.
I'm from Illinois, and the public education system in Illinois is horrible. You see, so they'll have us believing that people like you don't exist anymore. Alright? So when I come out here and I get a chance, I try to talk and to see what's going on, because they don't tell us about you guys. No, they don't. No, they don't. You know, they'll tell us some garbage, but they won't tell us, you know, so it's, you know, so whenever I get a chance to talk to a real Navajo Indian, I take the opportunity. So, the time frame you guys occupied this land?
Can't really pinpoint it, but it's been quite a long time, and the Spaniards...
Now the brother was so smart to use a particular word. A round of applause. The time period you have occupied. You hold, you occupy and hold a land. Alright? They're holding something. That's why... Alright, let's just get through the video and I'll break it down some more. Hold on.
We moved us from this area down south.
Okay. So the Spaniards, when they came here, Spaniards, Europeans, they came over here, they warred with your tribe. Okay. They removed you from your land, Okay. Now, is this considered a reservation?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Now, a lot of people don't know what a reservation is. They think a reservation is a little patch of land. Is a reservation a little patch of land, or is it many acres?
Many acres.
Many acres.
And we're the largest tribe in the world.
Largest tribe in the world. Okay. And many acres would be like millions of acres, thousands of acres,
It
millions of...
depends.
All right.
It doesn't depend. 55 million acres. We're reading that now, and we're going to dig back into that in a second. But let's let this let's let this fine gentleman explain what he knows nothing about.
Is this how far does your reservation extend?
From New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado.
Let's get that again.
And Colorado. And Colorado. Arizona, from New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, from New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado. 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 From New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado.
One more time.
From New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado.
Alright, so what this fine gentleman has just politely told you is that he don't know shit, but he knows that they're holding a land. They're holding a land, and this land happens to be the Four Corners. This land, which seems to be the land in trust. They're holding it, he told you himself. They're just holding it. They're occupying it. Occupying it. It's not theirs. Right, so let's get this again. Since the 1970s, the federal government has promoted Indian self-determination, but tribes still receive federal subsidies and are burdened by layers of federal regulations. In addition, the government continues to oversee 55 million acres of land held in a trust for Indians and tribes. Held in a trust. Nobody owns it. Unfortunately, now how is this guy a Navajo Indian occupy? He told you he's occupying it now. But they don't own it. And they've been here for a time he can't remember. He can't really remember the time they've been here. He just knows that they're here and they're occupying it. Okay? I don't really know the history. I don't know when we got here and, but we're occupying it. If you continue to watch that video, you'll find out he also tells you that he serves Christ. And this goes right back to the fact that they're all fucking family members. I told you. It's a fucking Mongolian Turk mixes, and they're family. They're cousins. Alright? So let's move along. Unfortunately, Indians who live on reservations are still very dependent on the federal government system. So, they're the actors, alright? The proxies, as Brother Lex likes to tell you all the time. They are acting as though they are you, occupying your land because it promotes the narrative that you Negroes are from Africa. We can never let you connect yourselves to this soil, as Brother Drop tells you all the time. You can't connect, you never figure it out, right? Alright, so let's keep going. Indians and the federal government have a long, complex, and often sordid relationship. Listen now. Listen to this. Hey, come on. Indians and the federal government have a long, complex, and often sordid relationship. You see this. The Navajo Indian told you his people occupy the Four Corners. Don't know how, what time, when all this shit happened, but we just occupy it, right? Now the federal government holds 55 million acres of this land in a trust for the indigenous people. And this Navajo Indian is not, because he doesn't own it. He's just an occupier on the land. A holder of it. Right, we're just, watching over the land and shit, you know what I mean? We just, we here, it ain't our shit. We own it, but we don't own it because we're occupying it, you dumb fuck. You can't own what you're occupying or you're holding something that you don't fucking own. It's not yours. The thief that comes in and doesn't fucking leave, right? Yeah, right? So the federal government has a long and complex relationship with these quote-unquote Indians, right? Complex. I want you people to think about this. Well, they're not the indigenous people of this land, and there's a fucking contract, right? There's a contract. This shit's got to come to an end, right? We got it for a time, right? So I'm going to leave a link to this article in the description box, and I encourage all of you people to not take me lightly and think that I'm just doing this for entertainment. This is just, I want you people to read it. And when you read it, hey, if somebody sees this and reads this and says, oh wow, I see more stuff in it, make a quick video. Link it to me in a comment. Link it to me in a message. Help yourself. Link it, right? Link it. And then I'll, put a video out there and say, hey, let's watch this person's video. They did an excellent job. Check them out. So I'm going to link it. Read it. All right, let's move along. All right, so after that, I wanted to show you the founding fathers and the slaveholders, right? And I'm going to leave the article in a link. You can pull it up yourself, but there's one thing I wanted to look at. Now, you see here, Jefferson, like all slaveholders and many other white members of American society, Jefferson, like all slaveholders and many other white members of American society, Jefferson, like all slaveholders and many other white members of American society, regarded Negroes as inferior, childlike, untrustworthy, and of course as property. Now, this goes right back to the dumb diverses, which goes right back to possession, right? Possession. Jefferson, like all slaveholders and many other white members of American society, regarded Negroes, the demons, as inferior, childlike, untrustworthy, and of course as property or chattel. Jefferson, the genius of politics, could see no way for demon Americans to live in society as free people. He embraced the worst forms of racism to justify slavery. I'll embrace the worst, right? So these demons, they're nothing. Right? Let's just keep them enslaved. That way we can continue to hold this land. All right? I'm going to leave this link for this in the description box also, people. I'm going to leave all these links there. And then from that, I'm going to link this to Kevin Gover, an Indian Trust for the 21st Century. Right? All right. So here, I'll read the first two, and then I'll leave a link. And I'm encouraging you people to not take this lightly. Read this stuff, all right? So, an Indian Trust for the 21st Century. Let's blow this up some. The statutory and policy basis of the federal trust responsibility for Indian lands arose at the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century. Policy at the time was based on two related propositions. Indians are incompetent, as we just read about the Negroes, right? Let's go back. All right. Right? Oop. All right. The demon, inferior, childlike, untrustworthy, and of course his property, right? Indians are incompetent. Demons are incompetent, and demon tribes were soon to be dismantled as political institutions separate from the United States. These notions were basic to the judicial development of the doctrine of federal plenary power over demons and their property. With these ideas as the foundation of the trust, it grew into a stifling, paternalistic father, and ultimately ineffective system of managing demon property. Right? Let's go back. Right here, Jefferson and the slaveholders and the white Americans, right? This is what they did to you. Alright, where were we at? With these ideas as the foundation of the trust, it grew into a stifling, paternalistic, ultimately ineffective system of managing demon property, while virtually all other areas of federal Indian policy have undergone dramatic change with a radical shifting of authority from the Bureau of Indian Affairs to tribal governments. The trust remains largely ineffective, unenforceably, and immune from fundamental change. Congress must change the trust to reflect the trust, 55 million acres. to reflect the capabilities of the tribes and to implement the federal policy of empowering tribal governments to meet their responsibilities as permanent components of the American Federalist system. Abraham Lincoln said, what's it, Lincoln or Jefferson? Jefferson, excuse me. Jefferson said, you know, they're inferior, childlike, and untrustworthy, right? And this is where you have these quote-unquote Navajos claiming to be the indigenous people that do not own the land, that only occupy it, right? Right? So the federal government insists that you need to empower, right? To meet their responsibilities as permanent components of the American Federalist system, tribes should be offered the opportunity to manage their lands without federal supervision while at the same time sustaining their immunities and authorities regarding trust lands. Congress should create both financial and policy incentives for tribal governments to assume these responsibilities rather than insisting that the Department of the Interior improve its execution of a system that is flawed at its foundation. Well, the system is you put in a proxy that's flawed because it's only a matter of time before motherfucking stories come out of old people's mouths from stuff they remember being told when they was children. It's only a matter of time before books come out and start telling people that these damn proxies ain't the indigenous people. They're not the demons. They're not the children of God, right? Congress should clear a path for tribes that wish to use their primary capital assets land to create the financial resources needed to build viable reservation economies. By doing so, Congress will bring the trust into the 21st century. Alright, now, there's a Navajo living out there. His old people live out there. This shit ain't got nothing to do with them. You think about this. They're occupying it. They don't own it. If they owned it, the federal government would have gave it to them. But it ain't theirs. Like, we can't really give it to them. They're the fucking proxy. We can't really give some shit that ain't there. Why would me stealing some shit from another people give it to a whole nother people that I don't even fuck with? And it ain't even theirs. So I got a proxy, a cousin of mine. I got my cousin Jeffro playing proxy, right? And my cousin, he dumb as fuck. He ain't as civilized and educated as me. He's my dumbass retarded cousin. He's so dumb and retarded, he'll never understand the fucking cruel trick I'm playing on his dumbass. So I'm gonna play this cruel dumbass trick on my cousin Jeffro, and I'm gonna let him think that he's something that he's not, because he's dumb as fuck and retarded and crazy. And I'm never gonna give him what I've stolen. I'm just gonna let him play the proxy so that I can push my story along and people will believe it, right? Let's continue. The trust responsibility has served as the source of federal authority to wreak all manner of harm on tribal communities. The being has created the plenary power, and we're going to look at that in a second, that the United States exercise in Indian affairs. This power has been employed often to the enormous disadvantage of Indians. This power arose from two key assumptions among the three branches of the federal government. Indians were incompetent to deal with the complex political and economic systems of white Americans and required federal protection, and Indian tribes would disappear within 1 or 2 generations. These assumptions were understandable at the beginning of the 20th century because Indians had been deprived entirely of their traditional means of subsistence and had virtually no economic system. Moreover, the purpose of federal policy at the time was the destruction of the tribes, leavened by a humane belief that individual Indians could be saved through immersion into white culture, that these demons, that these Negroes could be amalgamated into the white man's culture. These assumptions shaped the trust responsibility at its beginning, and its effects reside in the current administration of the trust. Legal doctrine governing the trust responsibility and federal plenary power has changed little in the past century, even while Indian communities have undergone profound change in the last 40 years. Change meaning that those proxies have now been taken over by the actual white man that's smart enough to rule this land, and his dumb cousin Jeffro has been now taken over. Right? And now the Cherokee Indians is a whole white nation. Explain that. How the Cherokee nation is a all white nation. Just explain that. Indian tribes have demanded and gained fundamental changes in the way of the United States relates to and delivers service to them. More importantly, though Indians still lag behind the general population in educational attainment, the gap had closed considerably, and new generations of college-educated experts are entering tribal government. Tribes have not disappeared, and they are not incompetent. The assumptions underlying the trust are invalid, and it is necessary follows that the specifics of the trust hold little value in the making of modern Indian policy. The trust responsibility must be modernized to meet the new reality. The new reality is these demons wake up and realize that they're the indigenous of this land. You've got to worry about a whole new fucking beast. These ain't Africans, and them damn proxies ain't the indigenous people. Again, the dumb Navajo guy just told you that. The concept of a federal responsibility for Indian property arose in the 19th century as a means of protecting Indians from intrusions by outsiders. By the end of that century, it evolved into an intrusive means of denying tribes control of their lands through the exercise of an unconstrained federal power to manage Indian property, regardless of the desire of the Indians. Congress, exercise of its plenary power, deprived the tribes of 2/3 of the lands to which the tribes held recognized titles in less than 50 years. The concept of the trust responsibility and nature of federal power over Indian lands. Alright, the damn proxy, right? Cousin Jethro didn't know what the fuck was going on, right? Alright, so I'm going to leave that in the description, read more into that, and find out more about that. Alright, we're going to jump to the next one. Plenary power. Should judge control U.S. immigration policy? Well, let's check this out. Federal policy on immigration has been founded on the plenary power doctrine. Alright, so did I do plenary? Plenary, alright? Plenary is the entire and complete. Entire, complete. Now, power, interesting word. Power, efficacy, control, mastery, lordship, dominion, legal power, or authority. Now, let's go back. Dumb that verses, right? Take that shit. Take that, take that, take that. You as the demon, right, possessed, to hold and occupy, right? To possess, which is not yours, right? You can see here act or fact of possessing, a taking, possession, occupation, also thing possessed, that which is possessed, fact of having and holding what is possessed, also demonic possession, also demonic possession, demonic, daemon, right? Downward goes the head to becoming the tail, which belongs to the Most High. Downward goes Most High's children. Downward goes the descendants of Adam. Downward goes, right? Now you're possessed. The land's divided up, the children have been subjugated, and now they're possessed, alright? Which holds that the political branches, the legislative and the executive, have sole power to regulate all aspects of immigration as a basic attribute of sovereignty. But despite the fact that the courts have affirmed the plenary power doctrine countless times since the 19th century, there is a movement underway to erode political branch control over immigration in favor of a judge-administered system based on the implicit idea that foreigners have a right to immigrate. Come voluntarily, I.M. This background examines the history of the doctrine and challenges to it launched by supporters of mass immigration and some possible responses. The U.S. Constitution provides no direction to any branch of government on immigration. Although it does invest the power of naturalization in Congress, immigration law has developed over time through numerous statutes and regulations created and adopted by the legislative and executive branches. The political branches of the United States government. Historically, the U.S. Supreme Court has taken a hands-off approach when asked to review the political branches. Immigration decisions and policy making. The ability of Congress and the executive branch to regulate immigration largely without judicial intervention is what has come to be known as the political branches' plenary power over immigration. Ever since immigration became an issue of political significance more than 100 years ago, the political branches have been able to exclude and deport aliens or deny certain benefits, according to political, social, economic, or other considerations, largely without being second-guessed by the judicial branch. The Supreme Court, in fact, did not seek to assert judicial authority, instead recognized that immigration decisions are frequently of a character more appropriate to either the legislature or the executive than to the judiciary. Ultimately, for much of America's history, immigration-related decisions were made within the political branches by political accountable actors according to legislation written by elected representatives of the American citizenry. Alright, so this is the damn Americans coming over, taking place, and calling themselves the cities of peace, cities of sin. Courts have articulated numerous justifications for keeping immigration regulation largely within the confines of the political branches. Some of those justifications include political question, doctrine, lack of capacity, uniformity, efficiency. Immigration enforcement is not punishment. History. While the plenary power rests on a solid history, attempts to weaken the plenary power doctrine and undermine the role of Congress and the executive branch in the realm of immigration regulation have been afoot for years. This is in part a result of an increased judicial focus on individual rights, a willingness of courts to dissect and or rewrite statutes, what some might call legislating from the bench, and the general tendency of those granted power by the state to aggrandize that power. At the same time, open border immigration attorneys have been desperately searching for an argument that would erase decades of Supreme Court precedent and the authority of the political branches to regulate immigration at all, their aim being more opportunities for appeal and a more lenient immigration policy overall. Outside academia, they have been largely unsuccessful, save for a few anonymously and narrow Supreme Court holdings. Critique below, and an increasing willingness on the part of a number of lower courts to openly evade the plenary power doctrine by applying their own inconsistent statutory interpretation methodology. By applying their own inconsistent statutory interpretation methodology to even the most basic immigration cases, right? These mugs, right? So listen, they're talking about a doctrine, and the doctrine is the plenary doctrine, right? Where you can see it's the entire complete, right? This is the complete power doctrine. The complete mastery, lordship, dominion, legal power, authority doctrine, right? So you got the dumb diverses, and from that comes this damn doctrine, this plenary power doctrine, the entire complete dominion, legal power of authority doctrine. This is how you do it. And nothing can trump this doctrine of whole, complete mastery. Right? So when we're learning about the plenary power, right? We're learning here that the plenary power is what controls the quote-unquote Indian affairs. The Indian guide is telling you that he don't know when he got here and blah, blah, blah. Just like the mugs that didn't know about who built the mounds, you know. They have no idea, right? There's things going on in the background, right? You're going to get to the root of these things. Them damn people that call themselves Indians, they're not even recognized as Indians by the United States government. And why would they not recognize them? Because that's Cousin Jethro. That's the retard of the family. We know he ain't no damn indigenous person in this land. We know this ain't his land. We know who the indigenous was. Samuel Sewall called it out. The indigenous, right? The damn Ethiopians, right? We possess the demons. We know Jethro ain't the daggone indigenous man to this land. So we're going to rule over. Jethro's retarded anyway, right? Right? He's half Mongolian and half them. So like, well, he ain't no whole one of us. He's a half of us, you know what I'm saying? So he retarded. He ain't, 100% us. That's just our retarded cousin that we sent off to a special hospital, right? Special mental hospital. And we go check in on him from time to time, send a little money to him because, it's still our family. He's just a retarded offspring of some bullshit. So to the bulk of this, our punishment came. These people came and brought our punishment, and we know exactly who these people are. And there's just more evidence that these people that say that they're claiming to be us are not us. This land being held, right? The Pope, Alfonso, appropriate these people, right? Thomas Jefferson, it's okay. We'll just keep on appropriating, right? We'll give them the false idea that they can become citizens, right? We'll give them some type of feel good while we keep them asleep, right? If you think you're an African, you're sleeping. If you think you're a Christian, you're sleeping. If you think that the United States really gives two shits about you, other than the fact that they want to keep you asleep, then you're sleeping. You can go out there and you can go work in their environment. You can get a job in their offices, and you can cut your hair right, and you can put on that funny ass suit they want you to put on, and you can walk around like a penguin just like them. And when they go home and get around their companions, they still gonna talk about you like a dog. You'll never grow any further than they are. You'll never get above them, because the tail has become the head, and the head has become the tail. So how can you think you going to walk around in their environment, in their world, as the tail? You're gonna become the head. And again, we just read through the verses from Jeremiah, where it is Jeremiah 15 and 21, and then we got Jeremiah 16 and 15. Yeah, Jeremiah 15 and 21, and then Jeremiah 16 verse 15, right? You can go right back to them two scriptures, and you can get a full understanding that you are the tail and they are the head, that they are ruling over you with a plenary power, their doctrine of plenary power. They have your land in a trust, and the proxy can't have the land. It's the fucking proxy. It's it's cousin Jeffro. He can't have that land. That shit ain't his, right? So hopefully this stuff was interesting to you all, and again, I'm going to put all these links in the description, and I hope you people read through them and make sense of these things. I just skimmed over a few different things. I didn't dig all the way into this stuff. I just wanted to share it and get you people, digging through more research, more documents, and pulling this stuff out, so that you'll have even more understanding. You people to make videos.